Hello? Did that fix the audio on my mic? I think it has. Okay, I guess I have to restart that. Joy. Alright, so let's see, what was I saying? We are we are going through and we are, by the way, hi Pazzy, it's been a long time. I hope you're doing well. I haven't been doing my videos for a while. So what I'm doing today is I am comparing Worldographer's new settlement thing versus Cityographer's old city making thing. And they're both made by Equal Ideas. Worldographer is their newest thing, and the settlements is the newest part of it. It's an expansion which I recently purchased, as in yesterday. So, what we have, actually, I'm just going to restart. I don't care about it. What we have with Cityographer is you can create the cities step by step, which I might show you guys in a little bit, or you can create them with just one step. These are the features that you get for paying for it. Most of these are things that you need images for. You can import it. You can import it, and I'll get into that in a second. You can save it, you can load. I just decided that I didn't care about that particular map. So, most of these you need images for. The interior map is really cool. I used it once just as a test thing, but I only set up like 2 images, and I haven't really gone into any of the other images. What I mostly do is I override the data. And every time you override the data, you have to re-find the file folder that you keep your data in. I was just going to go with master code text, but I think this time I'm going to go with the Fey code text, which I mostly did a lot of gnome names for, I think. So, it loads up. It randomly generates based on the input that you put in, buildings, streets, and other things like that. And you can edit it all when you create it. And you can even generate more buildings and streets if you want to. So there are ways to expand. You can zoom in. You can move around if you have this clicked. And you can go and see what's there. You can also, and this is the real feature, view and edit the notes. So right now we clicked on a tavern. We've got all of these people. And again, this is the gnome version, so I changed some of my code. The 2 races are civilized versus natural. And then the cultures are based on different stuff. So you've got customers, you've got some staff, and you've got food and drink. You can regenerate it, and it changes the food and drink, it changes the cost. All that's pretty cool. Well, it changes one at a time because you regenerate each tab at a time. Or you regenerate the whole thing, and it'll even change the name of the place. Oh, I guess it doesn't change the name. But you can regenerate the name if you want. I've got personalities and fun things like that, which are all auto-generated. The surprise Duke is clearly built on the site of an assassination. Yeah, probably. And if you don't want to keep the information that you regenerated, just hit close and open it back up, and boom, it's the Surprise Duke Tavern again. So yeah, those are some really cool things that we can do. One of the problems that I've found, well, one of the cool things that I found is if you edit the data file, it will actually, and regenerate stuff, it will actually change what you regenerate in the future. So that can be really cool if you change the prices on stuff because of war or something else, and you want to make it so that all horses and all weapons are slightly more expensive. So you change the price to increase the prices on those things and increase the rarity even. And next time you regenerate the weapons shop, it'll have those at higher prices with more and have less of them. One of the problems I've run into is when I save this save file, there's a random chance that it will no longer be linked to that data file and it'll just go back to the default. And there is a way to get it back, but it's really difficult and annoying. You can add stuff. You can also view it in hexes, which is cool. But the biggest problem is when it loses the data file, because then I can't regenerate anything and it's just a static map from then on, which is still cool, but just not quite the same. And it has quite a little bit of detail. I mean, you can get pretty in there and see the shingles and see the little cobblestones. So it can be pretty cool if you print out. And yeah, so that's what we've got. You cannot change the size afterwards, which is a slight issue. But yeah. Connected data is a great feature. Just having to update one central data set and then hitting refresh as you enter a building saves a lot of admin work. Yeah, it does. Can I only access the details in this program or also in an exported version? What do you mean by an exported version? I think I can only see the details in this program because you can't export all of the I can't export this and then see all of the files. Maybe I can. I've never actually tried it. Oh, wow. By the way, I exported it to this folder, and this is what it's showing me. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it has literally every little piece of information from every house and a picture to go with it. That's actually... Wow, this is huge. Let's find the surprised Duke. There's a surprised moose? Yeah, it has all of the customers, all of the staff, all of the items, and the cost. That's really cool. No, it's not elegant, but still something. I didn't realize I could do that. I never tried. I can export. You can also export it as an image, but I never tried exporting it as a note. So the only problem I have is when the save file leaves. That's my only issue right now. And some of these tools aren't quite as intuitive as I would like. So I decided when Joe from Inkwell Ideas updated it and went to Worldographer and added the city, town, village map here, that I would purchase that as well. So we're going to create a new city, town map. I always go with the columns lining up. We're going to do the background texture that he suggests. We're going to still set it at 5,000 people. There is no way to just load the text file or the code file right here. And that's kind of an issue because when I generate the map, it generates at its own rate. We're going to go over to View Options. We're going to take out the show notes. So it generates at its own rate. The surprise moose was a botch assassination from 10 minutes earlier. Seems powerful, but it's definitely an older UX design. Hopefully the new version is just as smooth version with the same tools. It's not quite as smooth as I was saying because you can't generate it with the file. So when you look at these notes, and let's find a tavern. There's one. Now as you can see, it looks a lot nicer. I really do like the look. And I like how the tabs are here. These are much neater, but this has their own source code, which is okay. That's okay. And it has its own name. It didn't give me a name. So yeah, so that's where we're at right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out of editing that note and we're going to go to Configure. And they say you can load a configuration or you can configure the settlement. And here is the configuration of the settlement. This shows you each building's details. Interesting. It shows you all the races. It has the other information, which you can code in. It's all pretty interesting. And it shows you the building placement, which we'll get into the code in a little bit. What you want to do is you want to load configuration, and I always just clear the prior data. And we're going to load configuration for City 2, which was based on my master code, to a degree. I don't have all of the information, just the races. So it loads up, resets, you come back to the configuration data. Yeah, this lets us change the language. So we come in. Sometimes it actually loads up and we'll have our new races. And sometimes it does this. So we're going to try again. We're going to try with City Configure 1. Maybe that'll work. This time it worked. Yay. We're going to go down. Humans all the way down here for some reason. We're going to change those to 25%. We're going to make 25% on the gnomes. We're going to make 25 on the half giants, half elves. And we're going to make 25 on the elves. Apply. We can even save that configuration as City Config 1. Yeah, I don't care. Okay. So, now, we click back on this tab, and we've still got our patrons from before because it hasn't regenerated. We hit regenerate, and it doesn't do anything. It's supposed to. It's supposed to regenerate them, just like the other one was. Sometimes it chooses to, and maybe if we find a different note, it will. Or maybe if we just keep selecting the same note, it will. I don't know. It's kind of random. So, nope, it's not working. We're going to actually save this map. We're going to save it as map test 004 because why not? Okay. So let's get out of there. Let's close the whole program. We'll restart it again. There's clearly some bugs that he needs to work out here. File. Open. We'll open up our map test 004. Cool. And we've got, it's the same map as you can see. I don't know where that random settlement is, but that's fine. We go to configure settlement data, and it's right back to the original. I can't get it to keep with the old configuration. And that's been very irritating. But as you see, now it's regenerating the staff. Exactly, Pazzy. No matter how good it is, it's not good until the new version, until it gets updated and it gets trustworthy. So right now, the good news that there is right now is that if you buy the old version, it's $32. If you buy the old version, you get this with it for free. Actually, you can't even buy this without buying both of them in a combo pack. I tried to just buy this, and there was no possible way. It only offers it in a combo pack. Yeah, and that's something that this really helps with. Maintaining a consistency with the little details. And one of the really cool things is how the consistency is that you can even set a range so that you don't have to worry about the exact price. That's what I do with all my stuff. So now as far as configuring the settlement data, here is, let me open this up. Actually, we'll go straight up to Fay. Where is that Fay code? Apparently, I'm not going to find it here. So we're going to go to our master code. As far as the master code goes, this is for Cityographer, not for Worldographer settlements. Yeah, this will help a lot. So with Cityographer, this is the code, and you have to type in every little detail. I went and typed in names for every single culture. These are all of the cultures. I typed in all of the different races and sub-races. I typed in the chances for each one. Let's get past the names. Then you have to type in each item one at a time. And like I said, because it doesn't always call back, that's the big trust part. And I'm not sure if that's because I have it on OneDrive, so maybe my source needs to be updated, and when it tries to call back on one computer versus another, it can't, and it just defaults away. But yeah, so you have to type in all of this stuff, make sure all of your quotation marks, all of your slashes are in the right place. And this is quite a lot of work, honestly. The names were so much. Kind of weird. I'm not quite sure, because I've been having so much trouble getting Worldographer to load stuff that I'm not sure if it'll use the text-based configuration. In fact, never mind. No, it won't. It only uses XML. But it's not that hard to convert text to XML. In fact, you use Notepad for text, and you use, I don't know what you use for XML, but It's not that difficult to... I've definitely copy and pasted some of this code, like the races. I copy and pasted the races straight from here into the XML code. But what I was going to say is, after you're done coding, after you copy and paste your information from Cityographer to Worldographer's coding, you can come here and you can add a row and boom, type in and just change it. Apply, and boom, now you have your new race. And it just adds it straight into the code, and you just save the configuration. If it'll let you save, which it's not letting me do right now. So this becomes a lot easier to edit because you don't have to do all those little things. You don't have to remember all of the little steps in the coding. You can just add it straight into when this is done and when this is more reliable. You can add a new table right in here. Add items. The Academy now. Okay. Well, now it's not working. And you see that's the issue, is the bugs. Okay. Boom. So now your academy has a 90% chance to have skill proficiency. Oh, sorry, I didn't read this for a while. I definitely suggest getting local version of all the code you're using. Much better for consistency in programs. Yeah, that's probably what I've got to do. XML can be done in Notepad as well, just a different format and save as XML. Okay, I didn't know that. Currently, I'm just memorizing all the details for my towns. Not the best way to do it. No, this definitely creates a consistency for all of your future games. And because of the way that the map is, you can export the map as a whole thing. You can refer to it. You can go in and you can add... Oh, sorry, I didn't even get into that. But you can add different buildings and things like that. Are the buildings under features in this one? Does not look like. Oh yeah, they are. So you can add different buildings and things like that. Does this even... Oh yeah, it completely updates. One thing that's weird is in the old version, language was called culture. Oh, I didn't know you could move that. Oh well. In the old version, language was called culture. Now it's called language. In the code, it's still culture. I like thinking of it as culture better than language. So, yeah, there's a lot that you can change and edit. There's a lot that you can do with both of them. But this just... the settlements in Worldographer just doesn't have the consistency that Cityographer has right now. It's easier to use, and once it does gain that consistency, I mean, It's so much easier to just come in here and in the app say, okay, next time we generate cities or villages for these people, since they're now better at making wine, we're going to have one wine cellar every 500 rather than every 900 or whatever, and then save it. I'm curious if I go back to that. But see, it just didn't update. But that you once it actually starts updating and actually starts saving, it's going to be a lot easier to create future places. And I think the biggest feature is you need to be able to actually choose the file that you're using right in here as you create the settlement. But you can't right now, so that's going to continue to be an issue for until it gets fixed. Oh yeah, you can export this as HTML as well. Oh, you can even export like a selected area. Okay. Whoops. I don't know how to select the area for that, but you can. And the mini-map is also better in this one. It's a little easier to use because it's bigger. And I think the images themselves, I think the details are a lot better. I like the coloring, and it just looks nicer. It feels nicer. Oh, you also have a few extra bonuses, like you can expand it. Oh, did I accidentally shrink it? Oh, you can also shrink it. All of this still generates just like before. You've also got world info that you can, yeah, I don't care, that you can put in and save if you want to. There's no way to load world info, so you can't, which is an issue, so you can't move it from village to village, which kind of makes it pointless. But yeah. Pezzy, yeah, I'm already thinking about passing out the map to my players, keeping the program open for myself, and that combination of things freeing me to riff and improv on top of a foundation. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier, and once you have... I found that I often keep Cityographer open, especially for my online games. It's not as easy for my in-player games, but... oh, it did expand over here. And then you can just, oops. You also have a lot more terrain that you can change things with and add different terrain in here if you want to. But yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that you can do with this. It's pretty cool. Oh, the dragon game. The dragon game's been fun. We had 8 people who were originally interested. One player ended up needing to go and get surgery, and she hasn't been able. She's been doing her physical therapy on Wednesdays, which is our game night, so she hasn't made it. Another player ended up getting her schedule changed, so she hasn't been playing. And a third player has mental health meetings on Wednesdays, so she hasn't been playing either. But we've been having the other 5 of us have been playing, and it's been pretty fun. They are actually, I'll go back to Worldographer and show you where they're at on the map. And this is nice because it always comes back to the same loading point. So, well, oh well. I'm loading the political map already. So they're in Darsheen, which is a goblin area. Lots of desert, some shrubland, and then the southern portion of the region is a nice grassland. And they're right at the border between... Is that over here? Yep, Darsheen. So they are... They're like right here in this shrubland, grassland area. Pretty close to a port city that's right around here. And as they were passing over to go towards that port city, they found an abandoned village, and it's abandoned because of there was a wizard there, conjuration expert, and she found a way to make it so that there are more portals being created there. So the Feywild and Shadowfell and even the elemental planes are connecting much more often there. And so the village had to be abandoned. And the players don't know why they keep running into random stuff, and it's been kind of fun. Before that, we were playing more in the desert, right up here-ish. And they were basically raiding goblin villages, mostly hunting for food. It's been a lot of food stuff. You're in an 8-person game. It seems pretty intense. I'm not sure as a player I could find a spot for myself in one of those. Yeah, I think 8 people kind of stretches it, because it takes a lot of the attention of the DM away from the group. Yeah, that's bad news. You're just pissing off the other planes at that point. Yeah, she did end up dying. But it's been a fun adventure so far. They did end up having we had one of the player characters die. And because they're all wormlings, they still have the protection of their parents. So their dad completely destroyed the village that the goblins who killed their sister came from. And it ended up working out because the very next week her schedule changed, so she couldn't come and play again. So yeah. We had a plot in mind to resurrect her because their mom is very religious, and I was willing to give her the ability to raise dead. But she ended up not being able to play again, so we moved on. And now they're in this little village where they're running into all these portals. I did not actually expect them to stop at that village. I just kind of threw it in there, and I figured, oh, that'll be fun if they do anything, and they've stayed. Like, they looted it, and there were elementals, there were zombies, there was a zombie beholder. It was actually thunder damage, I think. So it was all just one big shout, like Skyrim, and it just completely leveled the entire city or village. Killed every single person, every single goblin except for one, which was the leader of the village, and he was out doing something when Papa Dragon came. And yeah, that was funny. The portal village would have gotten me. The amount of magical energies in one place intrigues you as a fan of wizards. I don't think they realize it's a portal village yet. I haven't told them that. Stuff is just appearing, and they have maps of all these portals, which they haven't really finished examining yet. And they have schematics for conjuration and some stuff like that that they saw in his basement. And he has a bunch of books on the planes, but I don't think my players have put two and two together yet. I'm going to stay in the village while the party moves on. No, the party is actually refusing to move on. Like, they were going in a direction, they were going for something, and then they just stopped. And they're just staying there. And I didn't actually expect them to stay there. I was going to have stuff spread from this village and eventually come at them again. But yeah, they're there. So they've been getting woken up by different attacks, and there's been other attacks in the day when they're just going to get food and fun things like that. That's been pretty fun. And then I'm running my Coastal Adventures game tonight, and that's been fun. Yes, I love that party. We have magical nonsense to investigate. Yeah, magical stuff's always fun. So I'm running Coastal Adventures, and Coastal Adventures finally fleshed out to 6 full party members. My brother's girlfriend started playing with us, and she is playing a sorceress. And the other Mike's cousin Matt is playing with us, and he's playing a Triton fighter. And then we had 3 of our players switch characters. So my brother Mike switched to a warlock, a celestial warlock, who is the prophet for a dragon. But he doesn't realize that she's a dragon. She's a dragon trying to become a god. And so she has some ability to give some celestial powers because she's on that path. And well, my wife plays too. She recently switched from her hobgoblin monk, who was an assassin, a monk assassin, to I think she went Way of the Shadow, and she's now a dragon. I forget what class she's playing. She's a baby dragon, and she's actually the daughter of the dragon who's trying to become a goddess. Sadly, most of my roleplay games have stopped for a while because of circumstances, and you're missing the improv. Well, if you decide to host an online game, message me. I can play most evenings, or really early in the morning, before work. Well, I guess I can't play most evenings because I play Monday in one person's game, and then I play Wednesdays. I run a game every other Wednesday, and I run a game every Thursday. But the other evenings. So yeah, the Coastal Adventures game's going really well. We start up at 7 o'clock, so in about 20 minutes. And right now, they are trying to get a magical artifact on a moving island that appears and disappears, because it's actually an island in the Feywild. So another portal thing. I'm thinking about properly getting back into DMing. Our group is small enough, the DMs are players, so when I play, I don't DM. No, I haven't been streaming it for a while. I stopped streaming my planning, which was what I thought was the interesting part. Maybe I'm wrong. But maybe I'll stream it tonight. I'll ask everyone if they're cool with starting streaming again. Catherine's not playing tonight. She has to do, she's going to a science fair and judging the students for a science fair. So that's fun for her. So we'll be missing her character. And tonight they're going to find out what they have to do to get a compass that will lead them to the ever-moving island. After they get this compass, I've been doing a lot of skill challenges. I won't. I'll ask everyone how they feel, and I'll decide. If I do end up streaming, it'll start right around 7:15 probably. Actually, someone texted me while I was doing this stream. If you don't mind, I'll see if it was about the game. Oh, cool. It was not about the game. My sister's car suddenly started working. But I want to add something more for exploration. I've been doing a lot of skill challenges, and I've been having them last over periods of time rather than be short. So they'll last for days rather than hours, and that helps. But I want something else, and I don't know quite what. Because right now, in battle, you have all your combat abilities, which are cool. You've got all of your skills, most of which you don't use in battle, but you sometimes use a few. And you've got your items. In social interactions, you've got some of your items, you've got some of your skills, and you've got your RP. You're playing your character. In exploration, you don't really have nearly as much RP. There's not as much room for RP. There's room for descriptions, and then you can interact with stuff. But there's not as much. It's hard to RP exploration, I feel, as a player. It's easy as a DM to have like a description of something, but it's hard to RP as a player when you don't know what's there. You've got your skills, and the skills are more useful with exploration, but they have to be utilized, and you've got the only class with the class with the most exploration abilities is the ranger, and it's been dogged on because that's what it does, and most people don't use half the mechanics of the ranger. I mean, the Natural Explorer is pretty cool. Difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel. But for most groups, they don't care about how fast. They care to a degree, but it's just not as big of an issue because in-game it takes 5 minutes to travel. It doesn't matter how far, whether it's 5 days or 500 days, it took your characters 5 minutes. It took your players 5 minutes. Unless you have some type of thing in the center. You can't become lost except by magical means. Most of the time, we don't go into getting lost anyway, because all it is a bunch of skill checks to see if you're lost or not, or you're just following the road, or I don't know, I'm having a lot of trouble with exploration. For exploration, you tend to focus on players piecing together information separate from skills. Describe the forest and let the players ask their questions and give answers based on their class or a skill check. Like, if you're lost in a forest, the wizard will get less information than a ranger from asking the same question. Yeah. Edwin. Hi, Edwin. Nice to meet you. It only matters if there's some time pressure on getting to a place. Yeah, that's the only time that the group travel matters. It's the only time that even getting lost matters, because eventually you'll find your way. This has led to my players trying to ask different questions based on their character. The wizards asking oddly specific magic questions so they get something. That's fair, but I don't want to bog the campaign down with always being lost, always trying to find places. And that's like, we don't track food all that often. Every once in a while, and the Dragon game actually, we've been doing a lot of food tracking, because I made it so they started with absolutely no food, and they've been hunting and trying to survive and doing different things, and that's been fun. But most games, once you get to the point where you can buy 100 trail rations, and I know you can't carry that much, but still, we don't track food that often. The tracking creatures is probably the only thing that we use a lot. And this, even when you're engaged, such as foraging, even when you're engaged in something, you remain alert. That we definitely use. But there's a lot of stuff that we just don't use here, and it's disappointing. There isn't as much. There aren't as many things in the rules to help support it, I feel. And you're right, I can add stuff, but I feel like it bogs the game down sometimes. I mean, we had one session where they were traveling up a mountain, and I could have added more. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. Throwing in descriptions of things inside a skill challenge. Because I like the skill challenge idea. Pazzy deals with that very artificially. Your players get lost when it makes sense for the plot, or because it seems like it would be interesting. If it seems the ranger hasn't had a chance to use half their toolkit in a while, then you'll figure out a reason for them to get lost based on the overall flow of the game. And I've done that. I have done that. I have forced things like that for plot purposes, or to ensure that someone's character gets to use their abilities. But in that case, then it wouldn't have come up if they weren't playing that character. Like, you guys wouldn't have run out of food if you weren't playing a natural explorer, because if you weren't playing a ranger, because I wouldn't have thought of it then. But since you're playing a ranger, I thought of it, and so the rest of the party kind of got punished. And I don't want to say punished, but you know what I mean. And I've done it for plot reasons where, like right now, they can't find a thing, so they're going to have to search for items, and then they're going to have to, which will involve investigation and things like that. But I don't know. I'm using dog toy as a stress toy. I want to create something that I can use to refer to help me with stuff like that. Just like a cheat sheet for myself. Like, kind of... Did I show you guys what I'm doing with the... I'm sure I did in a different video. And I know this isn't what this video was about. But did I show you guys what I did with the gambling? You change it on the game level to account for the players. More magic things when you have a wizard in the party, less when you don't. Yeah, I definitely do that. But like, I want something there so it's easy for me to add in tools. Alright, so, like gambling. I created this thing, this little format based on 6 different gambling things, so that you use both your gambling proficiency and your and a few other skills based on what type of gambling it is. So if you're using dice, it would be investigation to notice other people, or investigation, that's weird. Investigation, perception, and sleight of hand. That's also weird. To get your total score to see if you win. So fun things like that. More food and confusing force if you have a ranger. I would also do this entirely from an improv mindset. I wouldn't write a formula for this. It's just based on feeling like we haven't done a thing in a while, or feeling like the players want to use a thing. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you for when I want to implement it, but I need something to... I need a format for when I implement it so that it doesn't feel like it's... So that No, here's the best way to put it. The first time I do anything, I mess it up. There's not been a thing in my life that I've done the first time and been successful. Everything I do the first time. The first investments I tried to make, I ended up losing $15,000. Which was really painful. The first business I tried to start completely failed. The first book I wrote, terrible. So I want to create a format that I can use for... And in fact, I'm going to start it right now. New section. Rename. Exploration pillar. I just want something there for the exploration pillar because there are set rules defined and easy for me to see for battle. There aren't as set rules, but I've done a lot more things for social. I haven't done enough with the exploration pillar to have a really solid surface under my feet for when I run something. I need something to stand on when I say, okay, you guys are lost in the forest. I need general idea for what my DCs are going to be. I need general idea for how many clues and things I want to put there. And I mean, I can play around with the numbers, but I want something there so that I can easily go, okay, I need something in this game for exploration because they need to find their way from A to B, or they need to find this temple, or they need to find this hidden cult. Anything like that. So they're trying to find this hidden cult, and what things do I want there? And right now, the only thing that I do is I do a skill challenge. I do a little bit of social. I do a little bit of investigation, some knowledge checks, some things like that, and then I do a skill challenge for the actual tracking thing. And it works okay. And it's honestly the best I've gotten to for exploration. But it feels like we're still fast forwarding through it. And I don't want to bog the game down, but I do want my players to like feel like it's a full part of the game. So I'm gonna create something in the coming months for the exploration pillar to help me utilize it better and more. I see exploration as another format for a puzzle. The puzzle is where are we and where do we go? Like a riddle, where they keep asking questions and as players they're figuring it out. Yeah, I've done that, and as players, my players are sometimes, depending on the player and depending on the character, sometimes as intelligent as their characters and sometimes not even close. That wizard is going to be more intelligent. The cleric is going to have, or the druid is going to have more natural instincts than any of my players will. So it's sometimes a question between playing your character and playing yourself. And I like to have some puzzles in there that the players can do, but I also want something, I don't want it to just be player, because I have players who, during events like that, just sit aside and wait. Whereas if they have something they can do with their character, they get into it more. That's why I started doing the skill challenges in the first place, is because I make everyone go in initiative. I make everyone go every round or every turn. That way everyone has to do something. So maybe I'll just describe the scenes more. And they'll have to describe how they... Maybe I'll take away the default winning skills. Because right now what I do with the skill challenge is I give them a few skills that automatically are easy. And then the rest are middle. I give them a few that are easy, a few that are middle, and then the rest are going to be hard, and they have to give me a reason why it works. So maybe now I can just give them a description and they can go from there. Anyway, it's about 3 minutes until people should start signing on, so I'm going to get my game up. I'm going to end this, and I might be back on in about 15-20 minutes if we're going to stream it. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you later.